Hi guys, welcome to this episode. Today I'm going to do a quick little tutorial on the Nikon D90. It's got an 18 to 55mm VR lens on here with auto and manual focus, and I've got it on autofocus, and I've got it on VR on. Okay, so I think that's the image stabilization. So if I switch the camera on, okay, so if I switch the camera on, so it is on. So if I click on this button here, hello. So it is a very old camera, and sometimes it's a bit temperamental. So they made these in 2008, and in my last video I did a little review of it. So this video I'm just going to go through the settings and see, you can have a sort of feel. So like I said in the last video, like it's a camera for, if you're thinking about getting into Nikon. So this video I'll just talk about this menu, this layout. So I had a little play with this, and I'm really a Canon user, so for me it was quite new, tell you the truth. But a lot of these cameras, fundamentally the fundamentals are all the same. It's just that sometimes brands do different layouts of where your features are. So if I click on menu, first of all, if I click on the menu button, I can go through all the different things, and it's basically this wheel here. It's not like a wheel that moves, it's more of a sort of kind of wheel that sort of you have to pivot through like this, and every time you pivot through, you've got all your different things on here. So again, if I go right to the top, you've got your deleting files, rotating tool, slideshow, so you can turn it into a slideshow. I think you can sort of link it to a printer via a cable. You've got your picture mode, so your ISO, your image quality, image size, white balance, ISO, noise sensitivity, and light, active delighting. So I think that's to increase or decrease the light. So these are your basic settings. I think if you're a photographer, you will probably know what these things are. So I'm not going to quite describe what these things are. You probably want to just flick through them and just see where they are. This is basically a video showcasing where all the different features you can locate. So the next one is custom settings. So you can change that to custom settings, and you can reset those as well. So you can sort of select each one and change those around. Then you got menu settings, so you can change the menu, the format, format of the memory card, display format, auto shoot format, screen world time, so you can change it to depending where you are, the brightness of the LCD screen, so you can increase it and decrease, increase it and decrease it. So I think you just do that basically. There we go. So, or maybe this wheel here does it. Let's try it again. Oh, there we go. So up and down basically. So it only goes up to 3. So yeah, that's your menu. Okay, so all your your camera features are in there. The next one, if you click on this button here, it'll take you to your menu, and if you click on it again, you'll see that these little buttons highlight, so you can flick through these and change the D light, which I mentioned earlier. So the D light, you can have that on or off. And what I like about these Nikon cameras, they give you a little visual, so like you can tell you what the D light is. So by the looks of it, it's background light. And then if you flick through it, it will give you your like exposure compensation. So if it only goes up to 1 and -2, so basically digital exposure. So it allows, and again, it gives you a little visual of what it is. So Canons don't do that. Again, if you click on this exposure compensation, you can increase and decrease it. And if I flick through these, you've got your metering. So again, if I click on my metering, spot metering, and the different metering and what metering should be on what type of picture. So by that looks like that's a distance portrait photograph, a flower close-up, so an object maybe, and it'll give you the correct metering subject to have it on. You got your area focus mode, so like if you've got like a multiple objects in a subject area, if you've got one subject you're tracking, if you're doing a close-up, for example. So it gives you those options. Again, if I flick to AF focus mode and again press OK, it'll tell me which focus mode, so like for macro, manual focus, AFC for things that are moving, AFS for scenic, AFA for scenic to movement shots, so you can sort of pivot, I suppose, from one to another. Then you've got your release mode. So, you know, your single shot, your continuous burst mode, your timer, your two second timer. So it gives you a couple of options there as well. Your ISO, so, you know, sensitivity of light. And again, it gives you a little visual. So most people, you know, and obviously Nikon knows what most people will be taking pictures of. And it gives you a little visual of what would be the appropriate ISO for an image. So for example, if someone's playing the piano in low light, you probably want to put it at 1600. If you're shooting a building, maybe the Colosseum in the evening on a walk, you might want to put it in 800. If you're shooting in daylight, you might want to put it in a lower ISO. So that's quite useful. Your white balance, again, it will give you a little preview. So again, like, you know, sort of daylight, so tungsten light, obviously we know it's in this office environment, so you reduce the red light effect on and give it a more bluer tint. So, and again, it gives you an auto as well. Your file size, so you got, you know, there's 3 settings on this: large, well, let's go back to large, medium, and small. And basically, you just flick through which one you want. You know, obviously, I'm using a Nikon D60, and I'm sure the newer Nikons have far more capabilities than what I'm showing you right now. But like I said to you, if you're thinking about getting a Nikon and on the cheap and just having a little play with it, the menus on these cameras relatively change or incrementally change as the models get better, but fundamentally they keep them relatively the same. So I think you don't need to consistently worry about the fact that you might be using a whole new interface. If you've got an old to a new camera, there'll be subtle changes really, because they're aware that camera users are very, very acute to the fact that they want their menu settings to be not changed massively because they're used to them, especially for professionals. So you got your image raw, you got your image size, and you've got raw, you've got fine, you've got normal, you've got basic, and you've got raw and bulb, I think it is. And again, it gives you this file, how much memory it's taking on your SD card, so 1.9 megabytes, 3.7 megabytes, and 11 megabytes for raw. So if you do studio shots, you probably want to put it on raw, I would have thought. So that's quite useful. Now, the thing I sort of struggle with is how do I change my shutter and my aperture? So then I just literally sort of flick this, and then I noticed that my shutter changed. So all I did this, and it was changed. And I'm assuming the new models have better features, but I literally just did that. And to change the aperture, I had to press this button and then do this. I hold it down. I was holding it down. So I held it down, and then I sort of pulled it, pivoted it across, and then my f-stop changed to what I wanted to. So this one went all the way up to 25, and my shutter went up to 4,000. And it goes all the way down to, let's keep going, 25. Minus 30 seconds. So that's quite a long time. I think you probably get a pitch dark nothingness if you put it on that, or a bright nothingness of nothingness, you know. So that's your settings. That's your menu. So again, if you press the Q button, press that, press it again, it will turn back, and you can just flick through these things, change what you want. If you want to change the shutter, just click on that. And if you want to change the aperture, click on that and just move it around like this to get the right aperture. And obviously your menu's this one, and you can pivot through whatever you want to change in terms of the camera. So yeah, that's my settings, that's my menu, and that's basically a Nikon camera's interface. If you've got any questions, please do post. Like I said, this is a Nikon D60. It's a very old camera, 2008, like I said. I personally wouldn't get one of these myself because it's not really something I would get. However, I would probably get one of these if I wanted to maybe migrate to Nikon and I didn't want to spend a lot of money, or I was looking to get into photography. Like some of my students that I work with ask me what camera should I get, and sometimes I recommend them cameras like this because they are cheap. One, first of all, and you know, a lot of students, if you're a student out there, you're probably aware that these sort of cameras, especially mirrorless these days, cost so much money that it's very difficult for all people to buy them, and sometimes it's in the hands of some individuals that can afford them, and you know, it's not always accessible to everybody. So these sort of cameras are give you the opportunity to play around with all the professional features on a DSLR camera or a bridge camera. And then obviously once you've got the money and you've a few freelance jobs, you can start to think about getting your mirrorless camera. And like I said to you, the interface, the menu, the changes in your aperture shutter will obviously be slightly different on newer models. They might be touchscreen, they might pivot across a bit quicker, there might be a video as opposed to a still image as a reference, but ultimately the look and feel of the camera interface will more relatively look similar to the one that I'm showing you now, and that's probably inclined to all brands really. This lens, if you want to take the lens off, I'm not taking that off yet. So I think you hold that down and pivot it across. Now I don't want to break this. I've not done this yet. So if I hold that down maybe and twist it, yeah, there we go. Twist it. The lens comes out. And if you want to put it back in, just drop it back in and then just pivot it back in as well. Okay, so Nikon D60 tutorial on the interface and the settings changes video. Any questions, please do post. I'm happy to respond. Thanks for watching. I appreciate all the people that watch my video and all the people that follow me on a regular basis. It's very, very sort of humble, to say the truth, that you guys watch my videos, and I know I don't make spectacular videos. It's usually just me with a camera sort of, or with me with a smartphone just filming these, but you know, like, we're all camera lovers and we like talking about them and we like to look at features and we like to migrate from one brand to another. So you know, if you've got any questions, please do post. I'm happy to respond. Hopefully this video has been helpful for you and it might help you to support your learning needs going forward. Thanks a lot guys. Bye bye.